Hey guys, I'm a little behind on recording RPG a Day, day 27. It is the 28th. Sunday was just all family stuff. I didn't really take any time to make a video. Um, what system would you like to see a new edition of? An edition is the bolded word, and even when I go off the full question, I usually try to address it. My quick address here is with all the systems that I haven't gotten to the table yet, most of which are dead systems, or at least systems that don't have enough of a following that you can necessarily assume that there will be a new edition of. My collection is prime to answer this question, but I haven't explored it enough to really have an opinion on that. So I thought I'd just go off the cuff here and be like, okay, editions. When do you even want to see a new edition of a game, right? Let me address Rollmaster for a second. Right, the new Rollmaster Unified came out, and it does not have an adoption rate even half of what maybe say Dungeons and Dragons does when it has a new edition come out. and why is that? Well, there's a lot of homebrew settings, and a lot of adjustment to rules and stuff like that. You know, little house rules and home rules. And so it's not as easy to take something that you've been running for 10 to 20 years or more and adapting it, right? And so the reason why I bring that up is there's a bit of the culture of who plays the game, but I think there still is a question of what is it about a new edition that brings people on board. And that's what I'd like to think about right now. Is just, what is that, right? Like, you could post errata and rule clarifications. I understand that there are some systems where, like, I even think maybe Rollmaster first to second edition was mostly like a reformatting of the rules and things like that. I think that was true of the One Ring from first to second edition. What do you really need? Right, let's take a look at a Middle Earth setting. It started with MERP, right? Middle Earth role playing, which is essentially Rollmaster Light, and somewhere I think that the next one might have been the One Ring. Right now, there's a D20 edition, and I believe I'm missing another Tolkien licensed RPG out there. They're all completely different. And so, and look at Dungeons and Dragons. Like, they even from third to fourth or fourth to fifth, there's enough of a shift there in mechanics and how things are built and how they execute certain ideas. That's a significant change, right? Like, I may say that Rollmaster Unified only recently replaced Rollmaster 2 as my preferred edition. And as I already said, like, first to second edition, maybe it's almost nothing, right? Almost no changes. I could play ARM SS or ARM FRP if I had to, and it wouldn't really be that much of a twist of arm. But if somebody came into Dungeons and Dragons with fourth or fifth edition and you introduced them to Moldave's BX or whatever, I might be getting the names a little wrong, any of the first edition ideas, that would be completely alien to them. Like, the entire style of play and the style of mechanics is completely different. So what is it that makes us want a new edition of the game? Is it just that there are mechanics that are newer and a little more fatty, a little bit more like hot right now, that would make them, would make it an interesting idea? Would you want a new edition of a game because it streamlines something or complicates something? And by complicate, people see that as a negative light, I think, but as a complex gamer, I think of that potentially positively. Not everyone does, but it's not naturally or unavoidably bad. So what is it that makes us want a new edition of the game? One of the things that I'm really excited about as a possibility, though I think they're going to fumble it, honestly, for the new edition of Rollmaster is like, hey, are you going to do something licensing wise and whatnot that will help us as the fans, as the players, produce good content for purchase, even if it's, pay what you want and, or $3 modules or whatever. Are you going to help us essentially get the word out in a merchandise way, right? Are you going to help us do that? And so I could see someone wanting a new edition for that reason. Like, hey, I like this peripheral stuff. I don't like to do lots of world creation and plot creation myself. I like running modules. I like having maps that are pre-made for the setting and blah, blah, blah. Maybe you want that because that stuff becomes really hard to find or something. So just thinking about that. If you got any thoughts of, anything you want to chime in below and say, this is what I really look for in a new edition. This is what makes me want a new edition of a game. I'd like to hear it. Because I think for the big D&D out there, it's just a title movement, right? People just buy it, and then most of the market goes that way because they're the number one game that you can count on being on the store. I mean, if physically in a store. I mean, how many times have you walked into a store that isn't a complete nerd store, and the only role-playing stuff in their section is D&D and other D20 products that are miscellaneously produced, stuff that says like for your favorite D20 game or whatever. Anyways, yeah, tell me what you're looking for. Bye.